Hi guys, welcome back. So I woke up this morning to the news that the All Blacks have got their team out to take on the Springboks. We had the South African side already, so let's get into it. And overall the picture is this is close to their first choice team from both sides. Let's go through it because there's a few interesting details in there. With the All Blacks, it's their starting props for sure, De Groot and Lomax. Taylor's in between them, and I think in Foster's eyes he's their starter at the moment, although Taukei'aho's on the bench and I think he could do really well if he comes on in my eyes. Taukei'aho is the starter for me, but I don't think he is for Foster at the moment, but let's see how that battle plays out. The second row is interesting because we've got Retallick and Scott Barrett, and in one of my preview shows I did say maybe this is the best pairing they've got, even though Whitelock's an amazing player and I think he is fit. They're just holding back on Whitelock, so maybe he would have played in this game, but if Retallick and Barrett go well together, they could potentially edge him out. Barrett with another big performance, is going to be undroppable. I mean, he's going to start somewhere, 5 or 6, whether it's second row. I think maybe second row is the best shout, because if Frizzell steps up once again, then that gives him a very physical pack, and we will see today if this pack, this sort of starting pack for the All Blacks, can match up against the very best that the South Africans have. Sam Cane had a great performance last time out and is captain at 7, of course, and Ardie Surveyor's their best 8. He's a super dangerous player. It's their current starting half-backs, Smith and Mo'unga, although Richie Mo'unga is under pressure from Damian McKenzie, who's not in the team today, not in the 23, which is a bit of a blow for him really, but it sounds like they're just rotating. Beauden Barrett will cover Mo'unga today, but Mo'unga needs to go well, and if he doesn't go well, then McKenzie may well be back in as the first choice, so that is a real battle there. A lot of pressure on Mo'unga. I did say he seemed a little nervous last time. A lot of pressure on this game. Can he step up to the plate? Their first choice centres by a long way, Geordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane. They were their first choice before the tournament. Now after the first game they're even more the first choice. Beauden Barrett looks like the preferred fly half, but it's all changed on the wings, and we did say in our preview show that the wing slots were all up for grabs. Telea is fit, which is great news because he's been one of the best players in Super Rugby, so let's see how he goes. And then Will Jordan, who I think is their most talented back three, is fit, so let's see how he goes. Although there's a Narawa as well who could come in, of course, Vainganuku, so I'd say there's 4 players vying for those wing slots, so these guys get a crack today. But it's a very strong starting 15 for the All Blacks. And then, like I mentioned, on the bench, Taukei'aho. But we do see Tamati Williams there on the bench. Very, very fancied player, about 22. This loose head is an absolute beast. Can he come on and make an impact like the South African bomb squad do? Then Laulala, then Vai, then Papali'i, and Christie covering 9, Ainor covering the centres, and Caleb Clark, that's an interesting one, on the bench. Many not thinking Caleb Clark's quite up to it. I mean, he's a good player, he's powerful, he's quick, but he's not massively quick. His skills can let him down sometimes. I think he's on the fringe there. He'll need a big game. Maybe they're giving him one more chance. I don't know. Let me know what you think of that All Blacks team. Then we've got the visitors who went with the tactic of putting a lot of their best players in New Zealand already to acclimatise. It's a scary team. Can they do a job on the All Blacks? I mean, I think it's just a massive game already, just for momentum. I mean, if one team loses, technically, of course, it's not the end of the world. But if they lost badly, I think it would send a message that the other side's well ahead. Let's have a look at the team. Kitsoff and Malherbe, they're starting props for sure, and Mbonambi there. Now, Marks is probably their best hooker. When I chose teams last time round, South African viewers were saying, look, there are kind of, numbers that need to be filled, quotas that need to be filled, which I, do forget sometimes, but they've done very well as it is anyway with those restrictions. I mean, they won the World Cup, so it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. But anyway, something to bear in mind. Kitsoff and Mbonambi, Malherbe, their front row, which has been their preferred front row for a while now. And on the bench, you bring off the bomb squad, which this time is Marks, Du Toit and Koch. Really, really strong. Let's see how New Zealand stand up to that. The second row sees the return of their first choice pairing, which is Etzebeth and De Jager. Etzebeth coming back from injury, although sad family news for Etzebeth, so he may well not play, which is understandable. So it'll be interesting to see how they jiggle that around, because of course the second row's last time out went really well as well. Or do they move Moster into the second row and put Pieter-Steph Du Toit back to the blind side, which is what I'd probably do personally. So the back row as it stands is Their starting open side, if Khaleesi isn't fit, I say is Quagga Smith, so they are playing their starting team, I reckon. Blind side is Mostert, which I think is a rotation because we do have Peter Steph-Toy on the bench. Peter Steph-Toy did play last week. Maybe it's a rest, I don't know. But normally Peter Steph-Toy would play, but if he doesn't, then Mostert would be the man. Jasper Wiese is their starting 8 at the moment, although Dwayne Vermeulen was fantastic last week and he's breathing down his neck on the bench. Now, this would be their starting halfback pairing with an injured Pollard. This is how they would have gone, I would say, last year, de Klerk and Willemse. But Liebok was so good last time round. There's lots of pressure, and Liebok again is breathing down Willemse's neck on the bench. So if Willemse doesn't go so well, Liebok comes on and rescues the game or something, that could propel him to number 1 with an injured Pollard. It's their current first choice midfield of Deolande and Am, but once again Esterhuizen was fantastic last game, so some pressure on Deolande, which is good. Am is there, doesn't look like he's got any particular pressure on him. Creel's, around in the squad, but many comments saying don't get him involved. They don't rate him very much, and he's not even in this 23, so don't worry there. And their starting back 3, as it stands, I think, the experienced Mapimpi, Kolbe and LaRue, but of course we've got Arinza as well, who is really putting pressure on these guys, and by performance probably should be starting, but by maybe history and reputation, Mapimpi, Kolbe and LaRue are the starting back 3. Let's see how they go. If any of them has a poor game on the wing, then Arinza maybe is in. So I'd love to know what you think of that. And on the bench, we've mentioned the bomb squad. And then you've got Snyman and Peter Steph-Toy and Vermeulen on the bench. It's just fantastic. Absolutely terrifying bench. Grant Williams was amazing last week off the bench, and he does it again this week. So New Zealand need to watch Grant Williams breaking around the ruck. He can suck in 1, 2, maybe even 3 players with his speed and then put someone in on a straight line or go himself. And Liebok again was absolutely fantastic. Those 2 coming off the bench, I think, is a great call. So it's pretty much first choice, first choice. A few wrinkles in there, a few question marks. Etzebeth maybe not playing. But let me know what you think of those lineups. Who's got the stronger team? And I'll catch you next time.